All right, the next few lectures we'll talk about getting into genetic selection on both the bulls and the females, but really we're going to focus a lot on bull selection over the next couple of lectures. So again, as we discuss that, bull selection, starting out, bull selection, it's one of the most important genetic decisions made for purebred and commercial producers. It's even more important when replacement females are the picture. And again, why is the bull selection so important? Because he has a huge impact on the operation. Again, females are 50-50, or the bull has about half the impact that the female does, but a bull in a commercial operation where we're doing natural service could be mating 25 to 30 cows. If it's an artificial insemination scenario, he could be mating thousands of cows per year. So the bull makes a really big impact on the operation and can either have a good influence or a bad influence on the operation in general. And so some of the questions that we get from ranchers or producers is, well, where do I buy a bull? What are some things to look for, or who do I go buy a bull from? Do I buy it off the internet? Do I go buy it from a big ranch, a small ranch? Maybe somebody that specializes in putting together bulls to sell. There's lots of places to buy bulls, and again, none of them are a best case scenario. But what I want to tell you is, and that I try to visit with ranchers about, is avoid buying bulls with an unknown background. And again, that may be, the neighbor's good crossbred bull calf that you really don't have any background on that animal. What is the predicted performance on that? When we look at EPDs on that bull, and what the predicted performance may be. And the other factor is that, are there some disease or fertility issues in there as well? So again, that's an unknown background on that bull. It could be from a producer or breeder that doesn't collect data. Data is extremely important, and we're going to talk a lot about that over the next lecture or two, is the importance of the data in your bull selection decision. So make sure that wherever you're buying it from, they've got the data on those bulls, and you can go in and evaluate the EPDs and make some decisions on there. Avoid buying cull bulls, and those bulls may be sold at a livestock market, or maybe even private treaty there, but there's always a reason why somebody culled a bull. Now, it may be a herd dispersal where there's nothing really wrong with those bulls, or maybe a breeder's trying to go a different genetic route, and I can understand that. But most of the time, bulls are normally culled because of one, they're not fertile anymore. There could be some age. They're just getting too old. It may be a disease issue. It could be a quality issue, and it could be as simple as they prefer your neighbor's cows to your cows. And so there's some temperament issues in those bulls. So again, most of the time there is a reason why folks are getting rid of their bull and trying to find another one there. So be careful with those, because there can be some challenges there. So where do I buy a bull? Well, a breeder that specializes in producing quality genetics for commercial producers. Or if you're a purebred producer, buying from a purebred breeder that has high quality genetics that will help improve your operation there. The breeder needs to have a reputation, is extremely important. You want to buy a bull with somebody with some honesty and integrity, that you know that you're getting the bill of goods that you desire to have. And so you're buying a bull that is fertile. You're buying a bull that is of good genetics, disease-free, and really just free of problems. And so that's extremely important. And a breeder with a good reputation is going to be one that will stand by their bulls in case there is any problems within the first few months to a year. They will make it good. And so reputation is important. We already mentioned data. Those bulls need to be fertile, and they need to be healthy as well and free of disease. And so those are important. And again, it may be you go and you find a bull, buy it from a breeder that's selling 500 to 1,000 bulls, or it could be as simple as maybe a local producer that's marketing 20 or 30 bulls per year. They can be just as good. There's just less of them to choose from. But both of them are very viable options, and I've purchased bulls from both scenarios, from the smallest and the biggest operators as well, too. So some things to think about there. So make sure they've got a reputation, data, fertile bulls, healthy bulls. Bulls that are structurally sound, that'll be functional, that can go out and breed those cows for you. This is just a scenario that I recently went looking for some bulls for a rancher, and called this particular operation, and they had a set of Charolais bulls there. Before I went and looked at the bulls on this particular operation, I got the data sheet. And you could see as I sorted through the bulls on this data sheet, you've got the actual birth weight, we've got the actual weaning weight, we've got the date of birth there. We also have the registration numbers, and the registration numbers for me are very important, because then I can go into the Charolais Association website, or the Angus or Hereford, whatever breed I'm looking at, type in that registration number, and I can pull up the pedigree and get the most current data on that bull. The most current EPDs on that bull. So that gives me a little more data there. As you can see, in this producer's got the calving ease as well as the birth weights in there. And then there's been some adjustments of those as well because of additional data within the system. One thing you'll notice on this, as you can see on the left-hand column, I didn't get into this operation, this purebred breeder, early enough, because some of the bulls were sold. Now, there still were some bulls that met my data criteria, the thresholds that I was looking for when I was searching and trying to find bulls for this commercial operator. Now, when we backed up and I went back, I found actually about 3 or 4 bulls that the data would work for me. But then as I sorted back through these bulls, looking at phenotype, visual selection, there just really wasn't any that I felt would work for my particular, the rancher that I was purchasing them for. So again, we sorted through them visually first, or through the data first, found those that fit, and then we went on to visual. And sometimes you find some, and sometimes you don't, that you like. And so again, as we begin to sort through these bulls, it's important to work through that procedure. Now, the next question I get a lot of is, well, how much do I spend on a bull? What do I spend? You know, the going rates of bulls in recent years have really crept up considerably for them. But what is the going rate for a bull? How much should I spend on it? Well, I always like to step back and think of a bull a little bit different. Rather than just merely an expense, think about that bull as an investment. And how much do I want to invest in the bull? Because the bull can create dollars for you. Buying a little bit better bull that's got a little bit heavier, that will wean off calves that are heavier in their weaning weights, will generate extra dollars back to the operation. Also, a better, higher quality bull that's got a little more growth gives you more weaning weights, but hopefully that bull also produces calves with a little more muscling and bone, or maybe more marbling, or better carcass attributes, or feedlot characteristics. And so think about that bull as more than just an expense, but as an investment. And this is the way I like to relate it to producers. When you think about, well, how much do I spend on that particular bull? And so when we think about, well, this calf here, it's a Brayford type calf. Let's just assume that it's a half Brahman, half Hereford. And so we've got the cow and the bull up there. And the cow's going to give you about half of the genetic material, and the bull's going to give you the other half of that particular calf. Now, we're going to put that one Hereford bull is going to mate 25 of those Brahman cows. And just for easy math, we say those cows are valued at $1,000 each, which is $25,000. Is the value of those cows that are producing those calves for you, which are worth half of the genetic merit. Now, how much do I spend on the bull? Well, if half the genetics come from the cow and she's worth $25,000, and half the genetics come from the bull, you would think $25,000 would be what you'd spend on a bull for that particular set of cows. Reality is that doesn't necessarily pencil out in a commercial cow-calf enterprise. Money doesn't grow on trees, and so we have to look at the economics of that. But that little exercise, what I'm trying to get across to you is that the genetic value of the bull is extremely important, because half of your calf crop is going to be because of him. And sometimes we get caught up in the female, and we maybe spend a lot of money on females, and then we just try to find a bull that gets the job done, that gets us some live calves. And we're really sacrificing a lot of performance there by doing that. So think about that bull again as half the genetic value. No, you can't go out and spend $25,000 on a bull for a commercial operation, but you can look at some of the value. And some of the old things that have been thrown around, well, how much can I afford to spend on a bull? Well, it may be some of the things that have been thrown out over the years is the value of 5 of your best weaned steer calves. And so if your average wean value of your steer crop was $1,200, you're looking at around $6,000 that you could afford to spend on that bull. But also think of the bull as how much you spend in it. Another way to calculate it out is how much it costs you per calf. So if that calf is going to stay in the herd for 5 years and he produces, let's just say, 100 calves over the 5 years, what did he cost you? What was the genetic cost for that bull for each of those calves? So some things to look at it. Sometimes it's hard when you say, oh, $6,000 for one animal. There's a little bit of sticker shock there. But you really have to break it on out and look at it, what his contribution is per calf and the potential increase in value that you could get from purchasing a little bit better bull.